at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today is Dan Matthews. He is the DeWitt County Board Chair as we follow up the, Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. Good morning, Mr. Matthews. How are you today?
Good morning. Doing well.
Good to hear. Thanks for making time for us. Always good to have you on the program and recap these county board meetings, one of which took a little bit last night, but we spent a good hour of the evening talking with folks from Enel. And, Mr. Matthews, I don't know what your thoughts are. I'll get your reaction here in a second, but I think to suggest that that these folks came to you anything but humble and contrite would probably be a disservice. What did you think of last night?
Yeah, I was a little bit, somewhat shocked at the approach that they took. I think they basically, said, yeah, we haven't done things well. We want to start over. But we've kind of been through this, as they continue to change management. Now, I'm going to give the people, the new gentleman that's now the site manager, Matthew, that talked to us a little bit last night, has an office in Lincoln. He's brand new to it, so obviously we have to see if work with him, and look forward to seeing if they can follow up on some of the promises they made last night. But I think it was the same message again, that we knew that the lighting system was going to be difficult, still not working. We knew the automatic curtailment was going to be difficult for them to deliver on, and they're not delivering on it. So nothing has changed in the frustration we have with those two very important features of the project. So that was disappointing to hear that they're really nowhere with either one of those, it seems. But as you said, they came, I think I saw one of your posts about them being contrite and saying they're sorry and want to work with us. So we're going to give them that chance.
And so from my perspective, and I'm not on the front line, so my experience is certainly from the outside looking in. You know much more than I do and have much more experience with these folks than I do. I don't know what I don't know what has happened in the past, but from what I can see, I think having someone here locally we can turn to is very different from what we've had in the past. And not only that, but just the fact that they came in person to offer that message of, hey, we're sorry, we want to make this bright, we want to do better. I think the fact that was done in person was also a little different from the approaches of the past. Is that a fair assessment?
It is. It was nice to see, and 4 of the gentlemen were from Oklahoma that came, so they did take the time, to get to Clinton and talk to us. A lot of what we've experienced over the past, few months or even year has been, hey, we can, answer you by email, or maybe we could do a Zoom, so it was nice to have them in person, and the meeting went well. Obviously it wasn't confrontational, but they were honest about their, assessment of the couple of features I talked about. And said, it's not working, but we are working on it. Now, when you hear that, we're the only wind turbine farm in the United States or Canada that is trying to do curtailment, I wonder what kind of resources they're really putting into trying to figure it out. And then, again, the lighting system sounds like, we have two type of turbines that two different models. One of those is working with the system, one is not. So again, not something that's top of their priority, but they're telling us it's going to be. So that's the wait and see. Yep, they came in person. We had that conversation. We have, we know who we're talking to now. Hopefully they don't change anytime soon again. And we can continue to meet with the local site manager now, which I think is a positive. We're not talking to people from Oklahoma or out east or across the ocean that may be making decisions for this plant. So we're going to have to kind of see how it rolls out.
No doubt. So when it comes to kind of some of the specific things, you touched on curtailment, you touched on the lighting system. Was there any other issues that stood out in terms of what they addressed about, some of the things that were of concern to the county?
No, I think one thing that was kind of interesting was I assumed that we would have had a much bigger crowd last night. But then one of the things they said was, we've had one complaint, and that was about a door being left open in November. Well, I think that was really the frustration of DeWitt County residents that are in that wind turbine farm area is at this point is we're not getting any feedback. We're not getting answers. So it's kind of like, are we complaining anymore? Well, if no one's listening to your complaints, you're not going to turn in complaints. And most of it surrounds the curtailment and the lighting system. So you could probably, people could be turning in complaints monthly, nightly. It's not working. It's not working. But to say there's only been one complaint was kind of, I wouldn't even brought that up from their side of things. They know we're very frustrated as a whole. And again, new management, it seemed like they were all brand new to this project for sure. I mean, they're very intelligent people and work with plants all over the country and into Canada, as they said. But it sounded to me like they have a lot to learn about what's going on here in DeWitt County. And they committed to that, but we're going to have to see if they follow through. And I think they will. I mean, they seem like good people. I'm not going to say that. They seem like good people last night. We're honest. And so we'll work with them. That's what we're left to do, is work with them. It's not going anywhere. And we'll do our best to try to push where we can to make things change.
If I may, it seems like a lot of the complaining happens on social media, and if that's where people are going to air their grievances, from my perspective, it's not up to them to follow all the Facebook pages of DeWitt County that people put all their complaints out to. I mean, if they've only gotten one official complaint, I'll take them at their word that they have, but at the same time, you can make the point that people are frustrated, and they are. But if they're not turning it in directly to them and they're just going to Facebook to complain, again, that's not up to them to make those, keep track of what's said on Facebook. If that's a fair point, I guess.
No, I think it is. It's not their job to go looking for where are people complaining. They do have a portal set up, but even the manager last night said he's still trying to figure out his way through the portal to find the information. Well, we need to simplify that, right? If they set up a portal and they're not really sure how to use it to look up complaints and do the follow through, well, then again, people are going to get frustrated. But I would suggest, that they gave their phone numbers. The gentleman, I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name. His first name is Matthew. I think it's Sable, that has just moved here with his family, moved to Lincoln. He committed, call me. If you got complaints, call me. So that information will come out from the meeting. They gave some email addresses and some phone numbers that they want the board and the community to reach out. So hopefully that communication gets better. And as you said, not just posting on social media that you're unhappy about something with the wind farm. You need to take the avenues that they've set up, and then we can follow up and say, well, we've had 10 complaints. They haven't been resolved. But we got to have some mechanism that we can follow, as you said.
Well, and to your point about the crowd, I mean, you expected a bigger crowd. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with, the chatter on social media. Everybody gets up in arms on social media, but when it comes time to attend a meeting to hear from these people, folks are MIA. And I know they've got things going on. I'm not trying to suggest that everybody has to show up, but, it feels like a lot of the noise comes from one particular place, and so maybe that, it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors. Not to say it's not all it's all inaccurate. Not suggesting that at all. I'm just saying, social media really presents perhaps a bigger problem, or a bigger people that a bigger problem than perhaps there is, if that makes sense.
No, I would agree with you. And there is a couple people, and Mrs. Shiplet is a great resource to the community that about the wind turbine farm information. She attends every meeting. There's a few other people that do, so always there. They're staying informed, and they do a good job of taking the information that they hear in our meetings and passing that on to the community through, a couple of their online forums. I know that some of the information gets out there, even if the people, like you said, everyone can't show up at every meeting, and they have other things to do. But then I'm sure the message from here will get out that, hey, these guys, we're sorry about what's going on, but we're not getting anywhere, and that's going to get out there. And that was the message we heard last night.
Mm-hmm.
But they did make a commitment, so hopefully that message also gets out there, and I think it will. That they took a different approach than we've ever seen from them. Came in person, admitted their errors and some of the things that have happened, and so now we all need to follow through with what they committed to, and then hopefully we'll get better, more relevant, more timely answers from these guys now than we have in the past.
Yeah. And forgive me for kind of going down that rabbit trail, but it's social media just personally is a frustration of mine. So that it was interesting that the conversation went there. So very good. Well, Mr. Matthews, did I miss anything in the Enel conversation you wanted to put out there? Anything we didn't touch on that's of note from your perspective?
No, I think we hit everything that we discussed last night. Yeah.
Easy enough. I'll tell you what, sir, let's take a break here, come back with some more. DeWitt County Board Chair Dan Matthews on the phone with us this morning. We follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. More to come with Mr. Matthews on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Friday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. Corn starting the day steady, beans higher, and wheat slightly lower. September corn opening 372 3/4, up 1 1/4. December corn 394 1/4, up 3/4. March corn 411 3/4, up 1/4. September beans starting the day 947, up 5 3/4. November beans up 5 1/2, 967. January beans 984 1/2. That's up a nickel. September wheat 509 1/2, down 1 1/2. December wheat down 1 1/4, 534 1/4. March wheat 555, down 1 1/4. September bean meal 304.40. That's down $2. And September bean oil 41.13, up 69 cents. Opening numbers on this Friday morning. I'm Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Here's how Clinton Save-A-Lot store owner Dave Jackson is fighting inflation 2024.
I'm one of the only Save-A-Lots in the country that has stayed true to form. We are an everyday low-price retailer. Hard discount. We do not run ads. There's no gimmicks, no games, no drawings. I mean, it's just the truth. And when you come in my store, it's even keel. You just know the prices are fair. Am I the lowest on every item? Absolutely not. But we're very low and we're very fair.
As Dave always says,
hope to see you soon.
Warner Hospital and Health Services expanded emergency room means big hospital tech, small hospital caring. When you need ER care, make it Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Find out how their expanded ER can help you by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Ramey Miller from Run Deep Coaching. Take your power back. I do holistic personal and business coaching. My service is virtual, so we can visit no matter where you are. Find out more by clicking my icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. That's DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest on the phone this morning is Mr. Dan Matthews. He is the DeWitt County Board Chair as we follow up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. Mr. Matthews, if you stuck around for the 2 hours, you saw a pretty interesting presentation about some aerial photography and some topography even that could be potential in DeWitt County. What is this? What's it all about?
Well, kind of started with, the assessor's office, and it gives them the ability to have, when I say real-time information, we plan to, I assume we're going to approve this here in the next board meeting, and we'll have a flight that will go over all of DeWitt County, and much different than a Google picture. This imagery really gives you a 3D images of every building, area of DeWitt County. It's very extensive information that we'll get from this flyover. The last one that was done was in 2016. And really it's not a 3D, it's just, it was a flyover that picked up a lot of images, but as you said, doesn't show topography, doesn't show changes in roads and buildings. And unlike Google, which you can go on to Google and look up a property, it may be 5 years old, maybe 10 years old, the last time that image, was actually taken. So this would give us a, real-time view of all of DeWitt County that could be used. Public safety can use it, disaster preparedness, knowing exactly where a situation happened, how do you quickly access it, what does the building look like, how many stories is the building, all from images that you can pull up, instantly. So it's got a lot of cool features that would not only help, the tax assessor's office, but help EMA and help the first responders, and just give you, again, you can pull it up, in a matter of seconds and see a building that you may need to access, or an area that you may need to cordon off, and would help you with that greatly compared to anything that we have today.
Mr. Matthews, speak to a little bit I know that Sandy brought up, structures that are built on private property. Maybe those individuals got permits, or maybe they didn't. Could it be helpful in those sorts of things? But also, for those that for property owners, maybe they view this as an invasion of privacy. How about that?
That's a good question. I mean, I'll start with what you said first. When you are able to take a view, so the plan wouldn't be just to do one flyover, right? You would do one, let's say this year, you would do another one in 3 years. Okay, so it's going to show you changes that happen over time. Like you said, is a new building been put up somewhere? Was the proper permitting done? If people are following the permitting rules, it shouldn't be I don't see that as invasion of their privacy. It's about having the right information in our system so that we can accurately assess people's properties, and, assess equally one neighbor to another neighbor. That one person may have done the permitting correctly, somebody else didn't, right? So it should be equal across, but it gives you, again, a great image of the property itself, not only for taxes is one part of it, but again, if there was an emergency in the area, or there was a fire in a building, you could get a real quick image. What are we going into that may not be aware of? And again, you can go on Google, and I'm sure you've done Google Maps before and drilled down on a property to find it. It's not digging in much deeper, other than giving you a little bit of perspective of that's a 3-story building. You can't tell that from a Google image, or any of the other features. And the other thing, technology is changing, so fast. They talked about go ahead and purchasing 2 flyovers now. Well, I got to believe in 3 years there may be a lot of other options that are available, that maybe this company, maybe another company, that again is going to have even better technology that capture images and for us that can be usable by multiple departments.
Did I miss anything in that, Mr. Matthews, you wanted to mention we didn't talk about?
No, I think it's technology that again, it's not just about trying to find, who put up a new shed or a new building. It's about having information that's going to help multiple departments within our county, and we're going to push to get that first flight done here as quickly as we can.
Good way to put a bow on that one. Very good. Mr. Matthews, talk to me a little bit about Workforce Investment Solutions. Rocky Wilkerson, who we've had on this show before, she was there to speak to Workforce and the work they do, the things they do. Tell us about this and why the county is getting involved.
Well, we currently have an agreement, to share in resources with Macon County, and Macon County does a lot of workforce investment seminars and events that I think I wanted to have Rocky come and just show us all that they do. She wasn't feeling great, so she didn't spend a whole lot of time going into detail, but she did provide us a calendar for September, which they're really hammering September as their workforce investment month. They have events almost every day. Some of those are going to be in DeWitt County, as she mentioned, a couple at the hospital, I think one at the theater. So I really wanted to get her in to make the rest of the board aware that there's resources out there, and we need to be putting some of that stuff on our website for the county so that people can take advantage, whether it's a job placement issue or event at Caterpillar. I think one of the cool things that Rocky works with schools is on a CNA program for students. She was telling me about a program and one of the Decatur schools where I think they had 12 to 15 students that came out of high school with their CNA already. So there's funds available that they can access that we can't for programs like that. And she's very passionate about what she does. I'm friends with her family in Decatur, and she's just a really good person and willing to do whatever she can to help us. We just have to ask. So I wanted her to come just to make people aware that this is available, and we need to figure out not only the county but also our schools, how do we engage with them more, because they have resources and money that can help the residents of DeWitt County.
Not to ask you to quickly change hats, Mr. Matthews, but being the school board president, I imagine you see some value in it from that perspective too.
Certainly, and that's I've spoken with Drew Goboloff, our new superintendent, and he's made the commitment too that we want to meet with Rocky and find out how can we possibly bring that CNA program to Clinton. In any other programs they have through Caterpillar. We've had a couple students go through some training and education with Caterpillar, and had students graduate with, to get a job with Cat. That was, I think, a year ago, May. We had one or two students that was part of that program. So we just need to take more advantage of it.
Very good. Mr. Matthews, let's wrap it up here very quickly. Tell us about marina funds and just kind of imploring the board to think about where they want those to go. How about this?
Certainly. Mr. Ferguson and I and others, Joe Whitty, the rest of the Marina Committee, I've also just talked about what can we do with the funds we receive from the Marina, right? We want to further economic development. We talked a little bit about the other night. We had a presentation of finance from the grocery co-op that's trying to get off the ground in Farmer City. That could potentially be something that we could help with some funds that we receive from the Marina. So I brought that to the attention of the board is, hey, let's think about what we can do with this money. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like ARPA funds as well. Sure. This is not something we get, $1 million+ to be able to do some good things with. Yep. So get everybody thinking about it.
Yep, Mr. Matthews, got to cut you off. I apologize for that. Dan Matthews, DeWitt County Board Chair, our guest, following up the Thursday night DeWitt County Board meeting. Network News is now.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3